What if I told you something uncomfortable? Something you've avoided hearing for years. What if I told you that every time you click buy, the loss didn't start there? It started much earlier? Wait. Don't answer yet. Pause. This isn't one of those motivational trading speeches. This isn't about strategy, entry confirmation, or risk management. This is something deeper, darker, and far more dangerous. Let me interrupt your thoughts for just a moment. Because before you scroll away, before your mind tries to defend your habits, before you say, "No, that's not me," I need you to confront a question nobody has ever asked you honestly. Why do you lose trades even before you click anything? Not after. Not during. But before. Most traders think the trade begins when the chart sets up. But the real beginning isn't on the chart. It's in the mind. The first candle you should fear isn't the one on the screen. It's the one inside your head. That flicker of fear. That spark of greed. That shadow of ego. That unspoken desperation you never admit publicly. You feel it, don't you? When you open your trading app, there's a tension. A quiet pressure in your chest. A subtle shaking in your hand. And a voice, quiet but sharp, whispers inside. Don't mess this up again. And here's the painful truth. It's in that moment, before any analysis, before any chart study, before any candle moves at all, that you've already tilted the scales against yourself. But wait. Let's not dive in too fast. Let me break your rhythm for a second. Let me step into your thoughts with a pattern interruption so your brain stops autopilot mode. Look away from the screen. Right now. Just for a moment. Now breathe. Feel your heartbeat. That pulse? That tension? That subtle anxiety? That's not coming from the market. That's coming from the unresolved battle inside you. Here's the provocative truth. You are entering trades emotionally even when you think you're being logical. And this is the reason you lose before you ever click buy. Let me ask you another question. One that cuts deeper. Are you trading the chart in front of you? Or the trauma behind you? Don't rush to answer. Your instinct will try to say, the chart. Your ego will try to say, my system. Your pride will try to say, my plan. But your results say otherwise. If the market keeps hurting you, it's not because you're unlucky. It's because you're repeating the same emotional mistakes, hidden under the disguise of analysis. And before you deny it, I want you to visualize something. You're staring at a clean breakout. Everything lines up. Perfect level. Perfect momentum. Perfect candles. Your cursor hovers over buy. It's right there. Everything in your system screams, take it. But your hand freezes. Your chest tightens. Your mind whispers. What if I lose again? And that hesitation. That tiny pause. That single second of emotional interruption. Is enough to destroy the entire trade. The market has already won. You lost before you even started. Or imagine the opposite. A winning streak. You feel invincible. You feel sharp. You feel powerful. And when the next setup appears, you click instantly. No hesitation. No discipline. No patience. Just blind confidence dressed as skill. And again. You lose before the trade even begins. Not because your strategy was wrong. But because your emotional state was in control, not you. Every trader has been here. Every trader knows this moment. But very few are willing to admit it. So let me challenge you one more time. When you trade, is it really the market you're fighting? Or are you fighting yourself? That's the hook. That is the truth that nobody tells you. That is the psychological war you lose daily. Not because you're weak. Not because you're inexperienced. But because you've never been taught how to control the battlefield of your own mind. Now, let me show you where the real story begins. This isn't just about fear. It's not just hesitation. It's not just greed, or ego, or impulsiveness. The real conflict is deeper. You don't know which version of yourself is clicking by. Is it the disciplined trader? The emotional one? The fearful one? The greedy one? The wounded one? The hopeful one? The angry one? Because only one of those versions can win. And the others? They destroy you long before the first candle forms. So before the story continues, I want you to hold this single, uncomfortable question in your mind. Who am I when I trade? Because until you answer that, nothing else will ever make sense. This is the hook. This is the interruption. This is the doorway to everything that follows. And now, the real story begins. Before the conflict starts, before the hesitation, before the fear, before the ego takes over, there is always a quiet moment. A moment that feels harmless, almost ordinary. And ironically, it's in this calm moment where the real danger begins. Imagine this. You sit down at your desk. Not rushing. Not panicking. Just preparing. The room around you is dim, intentionally dim, because every trader knows the brightness of the world distracts you from the intensity of the market. The only light comes from the monitor in front of you, that cold, bluish glow of candlesticks dancing in slow motion. You're not trading yet. You're just observing. Or at least, that's what you tell yourself. Your mind tries to enter a professional state. You sit straighter. You breathe slower. You want to believe you are calm. But beneath the fabric of your hoodie, beneath the anonymity of your facelessness, beneath the silence of the room, something moves inside you. A pressure. A pulse. A subtle tightening of the chest that most traders pretend not to feel. You glance at the chart. It looks harmless, a series of small candles, nothing dramatic. You scroll left, scroll right, zoom in, zoom out. Just warming up. But even here, in the so-called preparation phase, the truth is already starting to reveal itself. Because the moment you sit down, the battle has already begun. Not with the market. With yourself. You look at the last trades from yesterday. Some losses. Some wins. These numbers, whether you admit it or not, already influence your emotional state for today. If you lost yesterday, you carry a hidden fear. I must recover. If you won yesterday, you carry a hidden pressure. I must protect my win. You see? Even before the first candle forms, your decisions are already poisoned by the past. But you don't notice it. You think you're just studying the market. You draw a horizontal line on a support zone. You adjust a trend line that you're not even sure is valid. You add a moving average, maybe two, just to feel secure. This is the situation every trader enters before the chaos starts. A moment filled with illusions of control. Because let's be brutally honest. You're not preparing. You're searching for comfort. You're not reviewing structure. You're looking for certainty. You're not analyzing. You're trying to calm the anxiety that's already pulsing inside you. You want the market to make you feel safe. You want the chart to tell you which direction is right. You want the candles to obey your expectations. But in this silent pre-trade moment, you forget the most important truth. The market doesn't care how you feel. Not even a little. Yet here you are. Leaning forward, adjusting your hoodie, tightening your grip on the mouse. Hoping that today will be different. You check the time. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right session. London Open. New York Open. Asian consolidation. It sounds rational. But the truth is, you're not waiting for timing. You're waiting for courage. Your eyes trace the candles again. You look for patterns. You try to anticipate structure. You convince yourself. I'm just observing. I'm not trading yet. But that's the lie every trader tells themselves. Because observation is never neutral. You're already emotionally involved. You're already imagining outcomes. You're already feeling the pressure of what might happen if you enter too early or enter too late. This moment, this quiet pre-trade situation, is the breeding ground of all emotional errors. Every fear, every hesitation, every impulse, every ego-driven decision. All of it begins here. Let's zoom out even further. Your environment is perfectly arranged, not for trading, but for illusion. The chair feels comfortable. The desk is clean. The lighting is moody and dramatic. Everything feels like a trader setup. It makes you feel ready. But readiness isn't about ambience. Readiness is about mental discipline. And right now, even though everything looks perfect from the outside, your mind is far from steady. There's noise swirling inside you. What if today's the day I finally get that big win? What if this trade blows my account? What if I miss the move again? What if I enter too late? What if my analysis is wrong? What if I repeat the same mistake? You don't speak these questions, but you feel them. The scene appears calm. But internally, you're already tangled in an emotional storm. And it's important to understand this. The market doesn't create your emotions. Your emotions shape how you see the market. Two traders can look at the same chart and see completely different things. Because the chart doesn't reflect the market. It reflects the trader. This is the situation. This is the true starting point every time you sit down. Not when you open a position. Not when you press buy or sell. But right here. In the quiet, deceptive moment where everything feels harmless. This is the place where your expectations are formed. This is where your psychology begins to tilt. This is where your subconscious begins manipulating your decisions long before you notice. You think you are in control. But no, the situation is already shaping you. And unless you recognize what's happening in this moment, the conflict that follows will tear you apart. Every story has a moment when the calm begins to crumble, when the quiet surface starts to crack and the chaos underneath reveals itself. In trading, that moment is not when you take the trade, it's long before that. This is where the conflict begins. You're staring at the chart. Nothing dramatic. Nothing explosive. Just normal movement. But it's not the market that starts shifting. It's you. Something in your chest tightens. Your breath shortens. Your fingers begin moving slightly faster on the mouse. Your eyes dart from candle to candle, timeframe to timeframe. You tell yourself you're analyzing. But you are not analyzing. You're reacting. Reacting to memories. Reacting to fear. Reacting to pressure. Reacting to everything inside you that the market awakens. You see, this is the conflict most traders never acknowledge. The biggest battle in trading is not the chart. It's the emotional storm triggered by the chart. And that storm begins quietly, subtly, invisibly. Let's break down the layers, one by one, until you see exactly what destroys you long before your finger touches the buy button. You think you're checking the trend. You're not. You're checking your fear. You zoom in. Zoom out. Switch to 1 minute. Then back to 15 minute. Add RSI. Remove RSI. Add moving averages. Delete them again. None of this is analysis. This is paralysis. You're looking for something impossible. Certainty. You want the chart to tell you, yes, this one is safe. You won't get hurt this time. But the market never says that. And because it never says that, your fear starts tightening around your decisions, squeezing rationality out of your mind. This is the first layer of conflict. You are afraid of losing before the market even gives you a chance to win. Then it happens. The setup appears. A clean structure. A beautiful breakout. Everything about it matches your plan. Your logic says, go. Your fear says, wait. Your hesitation says, maybe. Your doubt whispers, not yet. Your hand freezes. And in that frozen second, the market moves. One candle explodes past your entry point. Then another. Momentum takes off without you. Now the conflict deepens. You know you missed it. You know you hesitated again. You know your fear stopped you from taking a valid trade. And now a new emotion enters the battlefield. Regret. Regret poisons your clarity. Regret blinds your logic. Regret tightens your chest and makes your breathing heavy. Because regret doesn't stay still. Regret quickly transforms into something far more dangerous. As the candle races away, your brain fires a warning shot. Don't let it get away. This is where the conflict shifts from fear to panic. Your mouse chases the moving price like prey. You move the chart left and right. Your legs tense up. Your mind screams. I should have entered. Why did I hesitate? And then comes the fatal mistake. You enter late. You jump into the market, not because of analysis, but because of emotional desperation. You click buy not to win, but to avoid the pain of missing out. And the moment you enter late, the candle slows. Your adrenaline spikes. And the chart reverses, brutally, quickly, violently. Your fear caused hesitation. Your regret caused impulsiveness. Your impulsiveness caused a bad entry. This is how the conflict unfolds inside you. And you still haven't realized the most important part. The market didn't attack you. Your emotions did. But fear is just one side of the conflict. The other side is ego. Sometimes you enter a trade not because you're afraid, but because you're too confident. You had a big win last session. You feel sharp. You feel skilled. You feel unstoppable. This is when the ego whispers. You see? You're getting better. You understand the market now. You don't need to wait for confirmation. And suddenly, you start bending your rules. You take early entries. You increase your lot size. You stop respecting your risk. You gamble, but you call it intuition. Deep inside, you know you're lying to yourself. But ego feels so good, so intoxicating, that you don't care. Until the market snaps back and punishes you. Hard. And the moment you lose, your ego collapses into shame. And shame collapses into frustration. And frustration collapses into revenge trading. This is yet another layer of the conflict. You're not just fighting fear, you're fighting your own ego. Every trader tries to control the market. You draw your zones. You adjust your indicators. You create the perfect entry plan. But here's the truth. Those tools don't give you control. They give you comfort. You're not trying to understand the market. You're trying to protect yourself from uncertainty. Because uncertainty scares you more than losing. And this is the deepest layer of all. You are trying to control something that cannot be controlled. And the more you try, the more you lose yourself. This is the ultimate conflict. You versus uncertainty. You versus fear. You versus ego. You versus the version of yourself that trades emotionally. Before you ever click buy, the war is already raging inside you. And unless you win this internal battle, the market never gives you a chance. Every story reaches a moment when everything stops. The noise quiets. The tension dissolves. The conflict loses its power. Only then does the truth finally rise to the surface. This is that moment. The moment after the emotional battle. After the hesitation. After the impulsive entries. After the losing streaks and the failed breakouts. This is the moment where you sit back. And everything becomes painfully, beautifully clear. Let's return to the room. Not the chaotic moment when your emotions spiraled. Not the moment when the chart reversed. Not the moment when your finger trembled over the buy button. Something different. Something quieter. You're still sitting there. Same desk. Same chart. Same hoodie. Same dim light. But now there's no trade active. No signals. No noise. Just you. And the calm reality that every trader eventually faces. It was never the market. It was always me. This realization doesn't hit like a punch. It doesn't crash over you like a wave. It arrives softly. Like a quiet whisper, a gentle shift, a subtle light inside your mind. You start to see the pattern. You weren't reacting to price. You were reacting to fear. You weren't taking setups. You were taking emotional shortcuts. You weren't following your strategy. You were following your impulses. You weren't fighting the market. You were fighting your reflection. And suddenly, you understand the truth with absolute clarity. The trade doesn't begin when you click the button. The trade begins with the state of the mind that clicks it. Every loss you blamed on the market. Every moment you said, unlucky. Every time you complained about manipulation. You now realize. You lost long before the candlestick ever moved. And here, in this quiet moment, something shifts inside you. Not a collapse. But an awakening. You look at the chart differently. Not as a threat. Not as a savior. Not as a test of your identity. You see it as it truly is. Neutral. Cold. Unemotional. Uninterested in your fears or hopes. The market doesn't hate you. It doesn't love you. It doesn't know you exist. That realization frees you. Because if the market doesn't care about you, then the only thing that determines your results is you. Your discipline. Your patience. Your emotional stability. Your ability to stay calm under pressure. Your willingness to detach from the outcome. This is the moment every trader eventually reaches. The moment they mature. The moment they stop chasing the market. And start mastering themselves. You lean back in your chair. Your breathing slows. Your shoulders drop. Your mind softens. You finally see the truth. The battlefield was never on the chart. The battlefield was always inside you. And the lesson becomes unmistakably clear. If you can't control your emotions, you cannot control your trades. And if you cannot control your trades, you cannot control your results. This is where the emotional story becomes practical. You understand that discipline isn't about forcing yourself. It's about freeing yourself. Rules aren't restrictions. They are protection. Patience isn't weakness. It is strength. Waiting isn't wasted time. It is preparation. And losses? They aren't punishments. They are feedback. Everything you thought was working against you was actually working for you. If only you had listened. And now, you listen. You look again at the buy button. The same button that once triggered anxiety, fear, hesitation, or ego. But now, it means something different. It's not a weapon. It's not a threat. It's not a trap. It's a mirror. A mirror reflecting the version of yourself that chooses to act. And in this final moment, the clarity becomes overwhelming. You don't need to master the market. You need to master the person who trades it. That is the real lesson. That is the transformation. That is the moment where everything finally shifts. You realize that when you sit down tomorrow, the market will be the same. But you won't be. You'll see the fear before it controls you. You'll feel the hesitation before it steals a good trade. You'll recognize ego before it blinds you. You'll sense the illusion of control before it destroys your plan. And for the first time, you'll enter the market with something far more powerful than strategy. Self-awareness. Because when you can see the emotional storm before it hits, you can step out of it. When you understand your triggers, you can neutralize them. When you know your weaknesses, you can counter them. When you stop reacting, you begin trading. And this brings us to the final, most important message. The one that closes the entire story. The market doesn't break you. Your lack of emotional control does. Let that sink in. Because once you truly understand that, once you fully embrace it, every part of your trading begins to change. And the next time you hover your mouse over the buy button, you won't ask, "Is this the right setup?" Instead, you'll ask, "Am I the right trader to take this setup?" That question, that simple shift in perspective, is the beginning of everything. This is the ending. And the beginning of a completely different trader.